Hi, this is Renee and Kent Miller, and thank you for joining us. This is our part 19 in our prediction series.
Isn't that much already, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
And so again, we're going to use PowerPoint.
And these predictions come from June 2008.
This is going to be a short one.
Well, when I was in meditation, I saw a bridge completely collapsing, crumbling. And I said, what bridge is that? And I heard the Bay Bridge.
And this is referring, at that time, we were living in California. So we assumed that had to do with the Bay Bridge in California.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So I saw something. Well, something was moving through the air, leaving a trail behind it, like when jets go over a trail, but it was not a jet. And I don't know if it was a meteor or a rocket, but they both leave trails. And when it hits, whatever it's going to hit is going to cause a lot of destruction.
And so these predictions, as well as the lessons, are received while Kent is in a deep trance. And we usually say meditation, but meditation is not exactly the correct word. Trance is the correct word for it. And he is just relaying what he hears and what he is seeing visually. So then this is going to start a period of tribulation.
Yeah, it's what I saw was something that was like round in the back, leaving a trail, and it's going to say "test by fire" as humanity plays.
As humanity is engrossed in
whatever
our self-indulgences, yes, and our playing around, and it will usher in a period of tribulation, which is,
said it's a test of time.
Yeah, this period of tribulation is it's a difficult time, and so it's going to be very trying for us. And you saw something with the ocean and winds. And
yeah, great winds. I mean, there was huge winds, 175, 200 mile an hour winds. It was huge. And then I saw the sands blowing every which way, the sands of the desert. So.
And then you heard correction is foregone. And that to me says we're past the point of correction, that
this is going to happen.
That we have delayed our true spiritual path too long, and it has set forth
correction. We have not looked.
Right.
I keep telling people.
We have not corrected ourselves.
Yeah, I keep telling people, go to the native lands, seek out a medicine man or the knowledgeable one of a particular tribe. They will teach you what you need, the beginning of what you need to know. They're not going to teach you everything, but they will teach you what you need to start understanding.
And I think we need to interject here that the Native Americans are quite adept at reading people.
Throughout the world, yes.
And with the indigenous people, this really should be about the indigenous people, because they have held on to the ancient ways and their heart is with the land. And they have the true understanding.
Indigenous people.
No, but in general, they hold the true understanding, yes, more so than the rest of us.
Yes.
And they are able to read people. So if it is not truly in your heart to do that, we don't recommend doing it.
No.
Because they will be able to read your intention and you won't get anywhere with it.
No, you won't. So we say the correction is foregone. In other words, it's going to happen. And nothing man can do about it. This is a correction of cyclical self. And the correction depends on the severity what man has done to earth. In other words, if we try to protect the earth, there'll be less correction for humanity. many doesn't care and just goes on about their way, then severity is going to be bigger.
I want to interject here because we're talking about taking care of the earth. And it goes way beyond the carbon emissions and the methane gas,
In the cars and things like that.
Humanity does not really have the full grasp of what we have done to this planet. And it is nothing that has been addressed before. So in a way, people can't possibly know. But at least methane and carbon are natural. The real concern is all of the unnatural things we have done to the planet.
The minerals you're talking about.
Well, we've got the introduction of inorganic chemicals, which has really harmed the environment, and it is creating the conditions for our rise in cancer.
We're talking about gold, silver,
the mining,
the uranium,
iridium,
things like that.
All of these
create
things,
the structure of the earth.
Yes. All of these things were intended to be a support system within the earth.
Yeah, they help keep the water clean.
Yes, that's very important. All of these things are going to come back to us. It's like a boomerang. What we put out there comes back to us in the form of a big lesson. So what is the purpose of the uranium? Why should we not take the uranium out of the ground and use it for nuclear power?
All these things, they help
set aside the nuclear
yeah,
weapons.
They help with the structure of this earth, hold it together as a unit.
And it's a structural energy pillar. So, and that's for the earth. The earth needs energy, and we are taking the uranium out of the ground, depleting the earth's energy.
And tell me, which one is not natural to the earth?
Iridium.
And where does iridium come from?
Iridium has come in on meteorite strikes.
Yeah, so many tens of thousands or 100,000s of years ago, meteorite strikes hit the earth to help set up the structure.
These iridium points.
And
so where it hit, there's these points.
And now we're digging up the iridium. And it's the hardened things, okay?
Like hardened platinum.
Hardened metal, yeah, hardened platinum.
And,
and many other things. And so we're destroying this particular.
But why is that important? Why is iridium important to this earth? Iridium is mildly magnetic. It is passively magnetic, meaning that in the presence of a magnet, it becomes magnetized temporarily, but you remove that magnet and it does not stay magnetized. And so unlike iron, it'll stay magnetized. So we're told by the guides that this iridium has formed anchor points that interact with the electromagnetic field that help to maintain the correct directional flow of the electromagnetic field.
Right.
So we're removing the iridium, and we are tampering with the natural electromagnetic flow of the earth. Okay, this is far worse than the uranium, than the carbon and the methane. These are at least natural. What we're doing is disrupting the natural balance of the
structure of the earth itself.
The structure, and it's really, really much worse. Our guides say at least, it's the carbon and methane are natural, and you need carbon.
Yeah.
Everything that's organic has carbon in it. And in fact, since we've had higher amounts of carbon in the atmosphere, the earth has been greening up because it acts a lot like fertilizer. So These are
So
not our
humanity's
ideas.
taken
These
the
are
wrong
our
path,
guides.
the wrong path of protest, and they're missing the whole point of what really is important.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't think that humanity has come to realize the extent of the damage that we have done and how it's far worse than carbon
Yeah,
and greenhouse
but
gases.
a test of time. That's what's going to take place. And
Mhm.
so test of time also says, well, who is in charge?
So this gets into everybody's kind of clamoring for the top
who's in
position.
charge?
We're shifting gears.
a fight for the top spot around the world.
Yeah, and you see it in many ways, and they're talking about all kinds of things, but also within the spiritual community. So
Well, there seems to be confusion.
everybody's got an idea. Nobody has the actual truth, and they're saying that there's no congruency because everybody's got a different truth. It's creating a lot of confusion.
They're all trying to outdo each other.
They're all trying to outdo each other.
And this is just not just here in the United States, this is around the world.
Around the world. But it's a look at me and look what I can do. I have the right thing for you. This is not our words. This is coming from the ancients. So
it's like barkers at a carnival.
They described it as being like barkers in a carnival, and that many do not form to one cohesive thought, and everybody's got a different thought process. So you have total confusion going on here. And in the universe, they really try to strive for the deepest level of truth, bringing everyone into one thought.
Thought of what truth is.
Right, one understanding, so that they don't have this disunification and division within the population.
So when people say, well, I've read this, or I've read that, take a look, back up and try to find the real truth, because it creates more confusion, more variances of what's said.
Yeah, and so they're describing it like shards and pieces being thrown out, and they say who's to listen when they all have a better plan.
Yeah, so stay off the stage and back up and see the whole picture
and search for the truth.
And search for the truth, because otherwise you're going to be brought into the fray of irrelevance.
And this doesn't hold true 100% of the time, but it does help you really find the greater truth. And that is when you are able to make a correlation between all your connecting data points, you are more likely to find the truth in that. So does it line up scientifically? Does it line up astrologically? Does it line up spiritually? Mathematically, or any other data points that you may have as far as what you are looking at when you're trying to find the truth.
Yeah. So they say the ancients that I hear when I'm in trench. What?
I said this meditation, this lesson was from an ancient, but actually we will see in the next page that it's not actually an ancient, it's coming from the Council of Nine.
Oh, yeah, which is very important council in the universal, in the all of universal setup.
So they're saying, the Council of Nine saying, that humans need some sort of solidifying event, and when
we don't know what that is right now.
We don't. But when you look back on history, say the 9/11 event,
that was only localized.
But it brought. I'm just using it as an example of what people do. It brought people together. So whenever you have,
we're talking about a world event. It's going to affect the whole world.
And whenever you have these great events of calamity, then it has this effect of bringing people together in a unified fashion.
That's going to be unbelievable, because for the whole world to come together as one thought, to unify, that's going to be tremendous. anyhow.
It's probably only a beginning point because we have to come together in one thought under the umbrella of truth to really keep that that unifying feature in a long-term
Well,
sense.
people are getting different information from different sources, different people, and they're becoming confused about all that is going on.
Yeah, so that's why we need the truth to bring everybody together. Once you all have the same truth, then all of these perceptions melt away and all these discrepancies are gone. So that's why it's so important to find truth.
Well, the Council of Nine is getting a little bit frustrated with humanity, and they're going to let happen what's supposed to happen in the percentage of higher event. They're going to let it happen.
So they don't cause events.
No,
but
they
have in some respects tried to hold things together for us, helping us limp along. And they've said they're going to step back now and allow things to, the cards to fall, so to speak, letting the stupidity of man happen or continue to close the door on our options, which is going to
bring things together.
Narrow.
It's going to pull an event together.
Yeah, it's going to narrow our options and force us down a singular path of events that's going to push us through to another side of new understanding. So it is positive in the end. However, it's very difficult going through that. We had the opportunity to turn things around on our own, but we're creatures of laziness, habit, and
it's hard to.
We're perceptual creatures.
Hard to get the dust off of your feet.
Yeah, and we haven't had the truth, but you have to factor in also all of the control of consciousness.
They're all arguing, look what I can do. And I don't care where you look. We're not taking political sides at all or whatever, but they always say, look what I can do for you. Look what I can do. And it's all falling apart right now, beginning to fall apart.
Yeah. So that can apply even with people who are spiritual teachers or any scenario. But the thing is that man is at least mostly to blame for not taking the initiative. But what I was saying earlier is you have to have to factor in the fact that there's been a total control of consciousness on all kinds of levels. And so part of that is the very fact that, why we have all these different perceptions and truths is because of that mind control.
Well, the word we isn't used. Not everything. I can do this. I can be a great vibrational shift for you. Listen to me. I have the answer. Instead of we can work together for a solution and an answer.
Yeah, and part of that unity within the universe is letting go of the I and becoming the we.
Well,
and it takes
when
some
you
work.
do that, all else will fall into place like it's supposed to.
So because it's a mental part of a cohesiveness,
advice
right?
should only be taken and should only be given when it's absolute.
And we have to recognize that people are on their own spiritual paths. We should not be dictating to others what they should be doing, but giving them friendly guidance, right? Gentle guidance without force or forcefully guiding them.
Yeah, when they say we become one voice and one mind, I mean, when we look at a situation, we become of like-mindedness on the solutions. We work together. The world works together to solve solutions. And so when we become one voice, that means, okay, we agree that we can do this now. You can still be an individual, but look at all aspects, say, yeah, I understand that. I think I can go along with this. But we become one voice that way, and we become one mind. This is what we're going to do.
You know, I like to talk about or describe our humanness in a way. It's kind of like the sports mentality, right? You're rooting for your team, and then we become very polarized. So when we associate with a certain group, we're rooting for that group, and of course, naturally, the other group gets pushed aside and you polarize yourself. So we need to really start thinking in the terms of getting away from this group mentality and getting moving toward a unification of minds, where we work together and we're not mentally cognizant of the separation within the group.
Yeah. So that's today's small predictions. Thanks for joining us. We hope that you can contemplate what was just said and think about how it affects what you're doing right now and where you are.
Do visit our website. We're going to be redoing it pretty soon. It needs updating, but it has the blog on it. So there's some valuable information there that helps understanding our spiritual path.
In the second book?
We have a second book that has just been released Friday, and that is on Amazon for $14.99 now. And that is the Augmentation of Man series. This second book is called The Acquiescence of Humanity, and it's talking about how we're going to be acquiesced, or we're going to acquiesce ourselves, rather, into the universal community.
Yeah. So with that, we want to say thanks for joining us.
And don't forget our podcast.
Yeah,
either.
And don't forget our podcast on Anchor, Spotify. There's different sites.
Breaker, iTunes, you name it. It's the Augmentation of Man.
Okay, have a great day.
And as always, peace be with you on your journey to enlightenment. Thank you, and bye-bye.